I don't feel fully 100% prepared to jump right into it, but we're gonna do just that because, as it would be, I said I was gonna start 5 minutes ago, and, well, I went live early, so now people now know that I am here. Welcome, everyone, to the second episode of the Glass Podcast. We're in, folks. We are rolling right into it, and there's a heck of a lot of discussion topics. You'll notice my lamp that would normally be flanking me to this direction has, that direction. That one has died on me, so I can't do much about it. It is what it is. We'll deal with it. I'm not all that concerned. I can get a new light bulb for it in the future. It's just an inconvenience that the bulb finally decided to die on me. What is not inconvenient is that I am here. Episode 2 of the podcast. There are plenty of topics. I may have to take a break or two because there's a lot to talk about, a lot to say, and yeah, plenty in a hurry. Get the card topics all out of the way simply because that's what the people want. I will give the people what they want. I'm going to be kind of switching off between looking at a couple of different documents just for the sake of gauging kind of just everything for what it's worth. I just want to move this to the other side. There we go. Got that all nicely settled. What I will do is I'm going to be doing a tournament recap of PA Card Meet. I did a personal experience sort of like recap, but this is actually going to involve me going into depth about the actual tournament itself. There was a Mario Kart 64 tournament. I talked about the general experience, the feel of it, why it was one of a kind, why it's special. The tournament itself did not get much discussion. And for those of you who were wondering, yes, that is referring to the 4-player versus tournament, primarily 4-player versus. You could technically more so call it a multiplayer tournament for Mario Kart 64, hosted by Brody, way out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh area. That's where it was. The event had 30 people playing in bracket. A lot of people. And I think it's the biggest Mario Kart 64 bracket there ever was. I could be wrong, and it was the most attended event that is primarily for Mario Kart 64, which exceeded VA Meet 2017 by only one singular person. That's for attendance. Obviously, that does not necessarily play a role in the optics between the two events, because comparing the two is like comparing apples to oranges. But the tournament itself had 30 people. So there was a group stage with 3 different recorded setups. One of them was on stream as well. The other 2 were not. And we had a knockout bracket afterwards, going from 30 people down to it was something down to 16, down to 8, and then the final 4. So I feel it is good to get started with kind of just discussing how that went. It was quite big, actually. There was a lot to show there. There were 5 different rounds. No rounds were any of the previous Final 4 in PA Kart Meet 2024. More than 2. There was no more than 2 that were facing against each other. So that was a thing. Another thing is that each of them had either, let's see, it'd have a minimum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches, partial matches that were played per round, or 8. It was either 7 or 8. And there were 5 rounds in a row, with the purpose of having every single person play at least 5 times. It was 4 or 5 times. And so I guess you can start to get a very clear trend of how things were playing out from bracket to bracket. And there's plenty of analysis that's being done by a couple of our local multiplayer experts. Cheech and Wamaster have been doing tons of analysis for PA Kart Meet Tournament as a whole, whether it be the group stage or the knockout brackets. So you can certainly check them out. They're going to be grooving and schmooving with the analysis on those, doing plenty of watch parties throughout the week. So do be sure to take a gander at those. I'm going to kind of just go lightning speed with these group stages, and then I'll give a more detailed analysis of the final showings. If we were to start with round one, Gray had a pretty convincing set of wins for the most part, although it was a close draw between him and Denny. Denny is somebody you would want to watch his name for as we get through the rest of this group stage. Gray got the most first places in that round, with Denny picking up the sole remaining fourth one available, with Astrid picking up third all across the board, and Naomi picking up fourth across the board. We would have our first sweep in round one with IMAF picking up all firsts in a match that was done against Peaches, Puddings, and Joel. Joel would sweep second places with Puddings and Peaches, splitting third and fourths. So that was pretty clear as day. There would be two other sweeps that took place during the event. One of those two sweeps was from Wamaster himself, picked up all firsts against Haddock of all people, which that's a bit of a bigger surprise. You would have expected him to get like one or two first places, but one thing to consider is that he was still recovering from being hungover, very, very hungover. So in a way, you could say Wamaster got the better of him when Haddock was at his lowest. And then Brody and Viholf would split third and fourths for that particular matchup. The other sweep was from Pokemon, whose performance you'll want to keep a careful eye on as we discuss it. That was all firsts for him. Now, this one would have been a very clear sort of like second, defined third, fourth. But Arjan did drop one placement in dead last because Forrest and Andy were able to get the better of Arjan in that particular one. But other than that, Arjan finished all seconds, Forrest finished all thirds, and then Andy finished all fourths, with that exception of Moo Farm. Then the next one, Mr. Ponytail was able to sneak away one first place against Lucero. Lucero did take first in all of the other ones, leaving Psychedelic Joey and Jed to sort of kind of split the rest of the placements accordingly. And then in the other match, there was kind of a bit of a split between the first place being dispersed between Yale, Ashley, and DK Tsunami, with DK getting the most at 2. And then Ashley and Yale sort of splitting points down the board. Maple would exit that round with 0 points whatsoever. But it would get mildly better for him later on into the group stage. My round was against Cheech. I snuck one win on the last course. And Mikey and David Tran were able to... Mikey was able to get the better of me at least one time. David Tran finished with 3/3, and then Mikey did sneak away one point from me. But Cheech was the primary winner there. Had the other remaining first that I did not pick up on, as he was pretty much soaring ahead most of the time, excelled in that performance. And then Peaches did show up again for another match in the first round. Did 1 point better compared to the first match that she played. Or actually, no, just 1 point worse. And then Haddock was starting to wake up a little bit. 3 first places, with Yo-Yo Yoshi stealing the other one. Yo-Yo Yoshi finished second in that one, and then Astrid finished in third place. That was round 1. Round 2 had 7 matches. It was pretty self-conclusive, that one. There was one sweep. Again, it was from Lawmaster. Finished all first place. Not too much to say about that. It was to be expected with how that all kind of just went down, leaving Arjan and Psychedelic Joey and David trying to split the rest of the points accordingly. Cheech did not get a perfect win streak because Mr. Ponytail did what he did last round, stole a first place from Derek, leaving Gray to pick up the remaining points that Mr. Ponytail did not get. Andy S. would exit with a singular point, and that point was in the very first round. Would not get any other placement better than third place once. That was entirely forced from him. So, his performance, he was pretty much there just to have some fun, and I think I'm going to have to take the first break, so we'll be right back. Pardon the interruption. I had to disappear for just a little bit, but we're back to business. I'm gonna just make sure that I edit the bullet points to make sure that the proper one is on the current topic, which I'm sure y'all can figure out what that one is. I was discussing round 2 for the group stage of PA Card Meet. Very brief summary of what happened there. The overall points will tell a much better story than I could tell with the matches. Last we left off, Cheech had one first place stolen from Mr. Ponytail. I just had to mention that. We'd already discussed the second sweep round that Wildmaster was able to pick up there. This next round is very interesting. DK could have had a perfect sweep had it not been for Forrest, who was able to sneak away with one win in round 2, and that left Jed and Violf to split the thirds and fourths accordingly. Forrest also did drop a single fourth place too, which gave Violf and Jed the opportunity to both pick up points. Going into this next one, it was a bit of a sweep in points between Mikey, Denny, and IMAF. And Denny did wind up getting the most first place points in that round, with Mikey and IMAF each picking up a first themselves. Maple still did not get points yet. We'll get there. I promise Maple will be on the points board soon enough from my current readings of these rounds. Just not quite yet. Another interesting one between Yoshi, Pokemon, and Ashley, who Ashley had a good round on that one, picking up 2 first places. Those 2 thirds did lower the score just a little bit, but managed to handle very solidly against Pokemon and Yoshi, who each got their own first places. Joel did not get a single first, but did not walk away with 0 points either. 2 second places in those last 2 courses. Yoshi started strong, petered out at the end of that round. Pokemon got gradually stronger as the round went on. In the round between Lucera, Yale, Puddings, and Astrid, it was mostly Yale, albeit Puddings did steal a first place from both Lucera and Yale on Calamari Desert, and then Lucera, after finishing all seconds, got a first place on Frap Snowland, which, as it would be, did give Lucera just enough of an edge to finish out first place, despite getting less first places than Yale did, by a singular point in that round. Not an easy feat. This was my one and only win during the whole group stages. With me and Brody splitting all firsts and seconds. He finished first on the first 2, with me finishing first on the other 2, and then vice versa for second places. So we both tied first place. Peaches picked up all thirds. Naomi picked up all fourth places. That was the end of round 2. Round 3 was the first round where all the matches, where three of the matches had only 3 players in them. Those 3 were the ones between David Tran, Ashley, and Astrid, Naomi, Haddock, and Psychedelic Joey, and Maple, Forrest, and Mr. Ponytail. And I do have some good news for those of you who are Maple fans. Maple was finally, did not pick up any points yet. My bad. I saw all thirds, but I realized it's because Maple was in a 3-person round. You can't finish in dead last fourth if you finish in dead last third. Forrest got all seconds. Mr. Ponytail got all firsts in that one. Haddock got all firsts in that 3-person round, with Psychedelic Joey and Naomi splitting firsts and thirds and seconds. In the other third round, Ashley and David Tran split first and second place. Astrid was unable to pick up any points there. Every other round that was played there was all 4-person rounds, which means I kind of lucked out and did not have to play a single 3-person round. To my joy. My round, Andy S. did not pick up a single point there, leaving me to have to sort of tango with IMAF and Lucera. I eventually cut through with a first place at the end, albeit thirds and a second place, and it took a little bit of time to build up to that point, whereas IMATH and Lucera were strong the whole way through. Lou finishing just a little bit ahead of IMATH, and IMATH finishing just a little bit ahead of me, with a point difference between first, second, and third. Looking at the round between Gray, Wad, Jed, and Joel, this was the first round where Josh did not get all first places, with Gray stealing 2 first places from him, and Gray actually finished out with the most points by just 1 point on that round, with Allmaster finishing his first second place round, as Gray picked up second, first, and Allmaster had 1 third place to sort of push him a point below. Jed had 1 second, and then a whole bunch of thirds, and Joel went away, unfortunately, empty-handed in that particular round. Looking at another round, that was between Violf, Yo-Yoshi, Puddings, and Mikey. Mikey did take 2 first player, with Yo-Yoshi taking the other 2. And then there was just a whole lot of very unusual showings, but at the end of the day, Yo-Yoshi and Mikey, they tied up for first. Puddings and Violf tied up for third. There was another 4-point round that took place between 4-person round that took place between Pokemon, Yell, Super Denny, and Brody, which could be hell on earth. Could be described as hell on earth for Brody, as he did not get a single point in that round. It was really a battle between Yale, Pokemon, and Denny. Denny was able to steal a first place away from Yale. Yale was able to come out on top, but Pokemon certainly put up a lot of second places and had the potential for a first, but just was not able to push through at the end of it all. A very tough round. If you were Brody, you wouldn't really expect too much different, unfortunately. The last round, that was a 4-player one, was between Peaches, Cheech, Arjan, and DK. Now, DK did not have as strong of a round in round 3, only getting a bunch of thirds and seconds, a mix of the two. Arjan was able to sneak in a first place, which means Arjan was technically tied up with DK in placement. Cheech got the better of both players, only dropping a single second place, and then a whole bunch of firsts. Peaches, unfortunately, did not get a single point in that round. That was round 3. Moving right into round 4, this was the second to last round of the group prelims stage, and we see Gray win his first round, second round actually, this time going up against Puddings, Brody, and Forrest. He was able to gather together 3 first place, with Forrest picking up the last one. Brody did manage to get 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and Forrest got the remaining thirds after a second on Rainbow Road. Puddings, unfortunately, walking away empty-handed in what could have been a slightly easier match than the previous match that she played. Maybe not. It's hard to say. These rounds, when you get random stage order, does not guarantee anything in the slightest. Going into this matchup, this next one, it was really just a brawl between Denny, Yo-Yoshi, and David Tran, as Andy could be considered a placeholder with all last places. Denny was able to walk away with the most first places. David Tran snuck in the last one, and Yo-Yoshi unfortunately did not get too much out of that round, finishing just below David Tran, which could be seen as a sign of things to come. We'll talk about why that's the case. And there was another round between Violf, Yale, myself, and Joey, with Yale walking away with most of the first, save for a very, very rough BC, which I was able to take very convincingly, and I finished with 2 seconds and a third after that, leaving me with second place. Psychedelic Joey did steal 1 second place from me at 2 thirds and 1 last place, with Violf only picking up a singular point there. In the next match, which could be considered one of the toughest matches on the entire group stage, it was between Pokemon, IMAF, Haddock, and DK Tsunami. DK finally had a better performance compared to the last few times. 3 firsts after a rough start, and Haddock while not being able to pick her up all first, had at least 1, 2 seconds, and a third, guaranteeing second there. IMAF kind of got the short end of the stick, only getting a singular second place finish, and Pokemon always finished with points every single time, even if it wasn't that much. Another round played after that in round 4 was between Lou, Naomi, Arjan, and Joel, and it was primarily Lou leading the whole way through, save for the second half, which left more to be desired. Arjan snuck up first place away from Lou, and Joel snuck away the other one. Naomi still did not get a point in that round. Maple still was unable to walk away with a point as of yet in this round, although that would change later down the line as we get into the other results. Cheech did have the one of 2 sweeps during that round, the other one belonging to Wamaster and his group. Jed and Astrid were getting all seconds and thirds. So it was a wash for all the places. Everybody got the same placement in every single course that entire time. I guess you could say that it was pretty predictable. The last group of round 4 was between Ashley, Wamaster, Ponytail, and Mikey. As mentioned before, Wamaster got the sweep. Ashley had a rough round, 2 fourths and a second and a third, so not desirable. Mr. Ponytail got the better of Ashley and Mikey. Mikey did pick up a second place, but there was also 2 thirds and a fourth, which may have not been the strongest round that he was personally looking for, which leads us into the final round. That is round 5. Some players were already done as of round 4, which left the remainders to sort of take care of the rest in this last remaining round. A not-so-easy round played between Gray, Yo-Yo Yoshi, myself, and DK Tsunami, with DK getting majority of first, aside from a rather rough 4th place finish. While I did not have the strongest showing across the board, I avoided 4th most of the time, save for one singular instance. Gray did get all points in every single round, and Yo-Yo Yoshi did capture the sole win that took place in this entire set for that one, leaving the 3 of us to tie with 5 points and DK to run away with it. Looking into the last remaining groups, that is, of course, 6 more. There were no sweeps aside from Wamaster getting all firsts in the last remaining 3-person round. Maple was able to do good on getting at least 1 point, finishing in 2nd place in the first course, and Puddings got the other 2nd places. For the remaining 4-person rounds, the 4-person groups, Yale did not quite get the round he was looking for. 2 thirds, a second, with at least 1 win at the end, but Haddock was shining with 2 wins and 2 seconds. And David Tran did sneak away 1 first place on Moo Moo Farm, with Joel, unfortunately, not snagging a single point there. Same case for Violf in her group, as she had to wrangle with IMAF, Arjan, and Mr. Ponytail. All 3 of those players were sort of splitting a lot of points between each other and wins. Everybody picked up a singular first place, with Arjan getting the most first places in that round. 2 firsts, a second, and a third. IMAF was probably the most consistent, and I believe it resulted in the 2 of them tying each other. I just have to kind of just double check the numbers. It looks like that would be the case, yeah. Well, Arjan barely finished just ahead. Mr. Ponytail did have a first, but just didn't have the same consistency of showing as IMAF and Arjan in that particular group. Pokemon was the strongest performance of his group in round 5. 2 firsts, a second, and a third. Naomi did not get a singular point during that round, and Jed and Mikey were also able to capture their own respective first place finishes. And they basically matched, for the most part, with Mikey getting more thirds and Jed getting more second places. This next round is pure chaos. There was a whole lot going on here. The only thing that was consistent is that Brody started off at some point and then ended with getting absolutely nothing in the second half. And then everything else was kind of split crazily between Lou, Cheech, and Ashley, with Cheech edging out the win, I think, just barely. Lou did get three races that were at least second or more, but that fourth place on Frapp Snowland left a lot to be desired. And Ashley got one of each. One of each. For this last group that was in round 5, and the last group match, it was between Peaches, Forrest, Denny, and Psychedelic Joey. Denny did end with the last win, going 3 first place and a second, leaving Forrest with a singular first and a whole bunch of second places. Psychedelic Joey and Peaches split 3rd and 4th evenly. And that was the end of the prelim groups stage. If we are to take a careful look at the final standings, as mentioned before, there were a lot of sweeps, but the most of the sweeps were taken up by Wallmaster and Cheech, the two that have a lot of multiplayer experience and practice with each other. They probably have the singular most practice out of all the participants here. Dedicated practice partners. They do a lot of work with each other. It's not too surprising that they would go on with Josh taking up 1st seed and Derek taking up 2nd seed. Wallmaster only missed out on 3 points the entire group stage. Very strong contender, strong leader going into it. Not too surprising with how he performed. Cheech was anticipated to be the winner of the tournament. 2nd seed was not surprising, so there was a chance that Cheech could get the road that he was looking for. The surprises of the tournament were, of course, Super Denny was not expected to perform as well as he did, as it seemed like the controller that he was recently working with was operating pretty exceedingly well at the time, albeit there was a bit of a catch as we dig deeper into the knockout rounds. We'll get to that later, but he did finish 4th, which means he was one of 4 people that got a bye into the quarterfinals. And the 4th person to pick up that bye, finishing in 3rd, was Attic, who started out a little rocky and then really started building to something fairly special. Nobody finished with more than 50 points other than Wallmaster and Cheech. And Haddock was the closest, falling just short with 49. So that was kind of where things were at. Now, let's get into the next group of people. And as far as performances go, Lucero was also hungover and recovering. And she took a lot longer. Her performance was a little all over the place, but still just enough to finish top 5. Just missing out on that bye position. The same goes for DK Tsunami, who was kind of all over the place too for the first time. Defending champion from the previous year in 2024. Didn't quite get the results and placement that he was looking for. So it was going to be up to a run through the bracket to get to where he was looking for. Rounding out the top 8, of course, was Yale and Gray. Gray did have a strong round. 2 strong rounds, I think. And Yale had 2 strong rounds of his own, with the 2 of them having some relative consistency. Pokemon's group stage round was not bad, but it left him a lot to be desired on his end. And things would change as they would go. And then we had a whole lot of 30-pointers, a lot of 30-point rounders, people who had good showings, but weren't exactly like popping off or doing anything exceedingly special. As a part of that group, tied with Ponytail. Ponytail got the opponent advantage, finishing in top 10 with me at 11th at the end of prelims. Our performances would be par for the course going into the final bracket as well. Arjan was just a point below alongside Amath, who is having a rather lackluster prelims performance compared to last year. And the same could be said for Yo-Yo Yoshi, who is having a weaker performance compared to the previous year, finishing 15th place Ashley was a player who it was not anticipated how well she would do, and one could say that her performance have left something to be desired in certain instances. For everybody else who was unknowns, it was kind of expected where they dispersed out. Jed, Forrest, Mikey, David Tran, Brody, and Joel very much landed where they were expected to land. And then everybody else was relatively new and they were just entering into their first tournaments in a way you could say. Joey was not. Joey did play at PA Cartme 2023. Was unable to make it to last year, and really out of this grew some serious determination to get way better. So it would not be too surprising if Joey was taking names and claiming big stakes in the future. For everybody else, Astrid, Puddings, Peaches, Veal, Maple, Naomi, and Andy, this was their first appearances, respectively, in a bracket of any kind for in-person, 4-player versus, and they would all be knocked out of bracket as well. They were the ones that would not proceed any further, but they all had a chance to show themselves, with Puddings able to actually pick up a win. I don't think anybody else did here, so Puddings was one of the few in that bottom half that was able to walk away with a bit of a surprise in that sense. With that all being said, there were a whole bunch of knockout rounds that had to be played. These knockout rounds, of course, were being played with Andy S. unable to make it for the rest of the day, had to leave early, so he was automatically eliminated by default, finishing in dead last. But that's okay. One of Brody's friends, we're very grateful he showed up, evened out the field with exactly 30 competitors. A very large number. And I'm going to pull up knockout bracket. We'll take another break, and then we'll start discussing the knockout bracket. So stay tuned. There is more coming up next in a handful of minutes. Shorter break than last time, we have returned yet again. We have a little bit left to discuss about PA Kartmate in the tournament formats. We got through the group prelims stage, which leaves, of course, the final bracket. There was a knockout bracket, and anybody who did not finish 4th place or better did not receive a bye, as they went into the first round. Cheech, Haddock, Wah, and Denny all got byes, so they were waiting for their next set of opponents in the quarterfinal round. And for those who were left standing, there were rounds to be played for 7 of the following rounds. 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, there were 6, my bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First round of knockouts was between Lou, Jed, Forrest, and Naomi. Naomi was able to pick up a few points in the round, but not much more. Did not finish in dead last, however. So, was able to escape with at least a placement of, if I do the math correctly, Naomi would be finishing with a placement of a tie for 26th place going into the final bracket ending. Forrest was hanging on for a fair amount of time going up against Jed and Lucera, but started really falling behind. And the same was true of Jed, although Jed was able to qualify. 9 points ahead of Forrest, and Jed did lose to Lucera, with Lucera picking up 42 points, which was the most points scored for the likes of PA Kartmate 2025, and the second most overall all around in the entire PA Kartmate series. So Lucera had the second most amount of points in a round for PA Kartmate in the past. The second knockout round was between DK, Ashley, Mikey, and Maple. Mikey put up an admirable effort, but was knocked out as Ashley and DK were going head-to-head for the most part. DK just finishing 1 point ahead of Ashley, which did make a big difference when you really think about it. As for the likes of everybody else, Maple did finish in a tie for 28th place with Vielf. Vielf we'll talk about in the next round. And Mikey did wind up just falling a bit short. 18 points, really far behind, unfortunately, but admirable performance. Showed a strong desire to learn, and I'm sure we'll see more from Mikey in the future. The third knockout round, which was between Yale, David Tran, Yo-Yo Yoshi, and Vielf. Vielf obviously finishing in a tie for 28th alongside Maple. But the real story here was who was going to finish in second place. Yale was expected to win, but then there was David Tran and Yo-Yo Yoshi, who were, Yo-Yo Yoshi was starting relatively strong, but then David Tran had pulled it off a second year in a row, just a few points ahead of Yo-Yo Yoshi after the final race, in a way that only David Tran could pull off such an upset. Yo-Yo Yoshi, unfortunately, packing his bags early in brackets, didn't quite get the showing that he was personally looking for. With 26 points, just short of David Tran's 28. And as you could probably guess, that meant that Yo-Yo Yoshi walked home in 17th place, tied alongside another person who was also not quite as close, but still got just as many points. Brody also tied with Yo-Yo Yoshi for 17th place in his respective round. Was not able to break through the likes of Gray or IMath. Gray finishing just 1 point ahead of IMath. Gray was able to pick up a big knockout win. Did make a difference in what round he was going to land in next. IMath, while finishing in second place, his story was not quite over yet. Did do pretty well. And Peaches tied with Naomi for 26th place in the bracket. went out with 3 points in that round. The second to last knockout round for the first round of the knockout bracket was between Pokemon, Arjan, Joel, and Puddings. And Arjan kept it close between Pokemon for the most part until Pokemon began to run away with it in the last couple of courses, which left Joel and Puddings to be eliminated, respectively. Puddings did finish better than the ties that were between Naomi and Peaches and Veilf and Maple, which meant that Puddings walked away in 25th place. And that left the likes of Joel to finish in the top 20, I believe, just barely. 1 point ahead of Mikey, no less. And then there was the last round. I was able to tie Yale with the second most amount of points in a single fold match with 41 points, put on a very strong round, knowing well that the quarterfinal was not a guarantee and was probably going to go out, albeit Mr. Ponytail did put up quite a good number of points too with 35. And this would make a difference in everything that played out from here on forward. Psychedelic Joey and Astrid did about as admirably you could ask for, considering the dogfight that was going on between the Wisconsinites, with Astrid finishing in 24th place overall in the knockout bracket with 8 points, and Psychedelic Joey finishing just a place ahead with 23rd. And that means, in the grand scheme of things, when it comes down to it, we had Mikey taking I just need to kind of look at the rest of these. Yeah, so Brody and Yo-Yo Yoshi were tied for 17th place. The likes of 19th place was Forrest with 21. Joel finished in the top 20. 20th with 19. 21st was taken by Mikey with 18 points. 22nd was by Psychedelic Joey with 12 points, I believe. Yeah, that looks right to me. Okay. So yeah, that was the first knockout round, and that ended the first day of PA Card Meet. The second day would have the remainders of quarterfinals with a bit of a break before semifinals. And, of course, the final round. It's GTR Master Austin. How do you do? In the quarterfinals from here on forward, everything was going to be tough. You could say that every single one of the players that made it this far deserved to make it into the top 8, but deserves got nothing to do with the final outcome. And as it stands, 8 players had to be eliminated. The first tough match, of course, me being eliminated, finishing with a placement of a tie of 10th place between 2 other competitors we'll talk about a little bit later. Jed put up an admirable effort, but was being boxed out by me most times, and definitely being boxed out by Yale and Wamaster, who respectively finished in 2nd and 1st place in that round. I had a chance going up to Mario Raceway, but that was dashed as soon as Yale finished in 1st place, and I finished in last place. Not the most ideal way to end the round, but it is what it is, and that was the end of the road for Jed and I. Going into the second quarterfinal was going to be another tough round, a heartbreaker for Ashley, who would finish just short. Pokemon getting 3 points just ahead of Ashley. Ashley finishing with the highest placement in the quarterfinals, finishing in 9th place. I would be tied with 10th with 2 other people, which we will talk about very soon. Gray did not quite get the round that he was looking for, finishing in last place. And Pokemon was able to secure 2nd, with Cheech finishing a strong placement of 30 points. It was a bit of a heartbreaker for Ashley, who was expected to do a little bit stronger, but didn't quite get the placement that she was looking for. This next round was the very last time that Haddock would finish in 1st place, finishing with a score of 38. Strong round. Lucera was kind of having a shaky performance, all things considered. Just didn't quite get anything that she was quite looking for, but did qualify and made it into top 8. Arjan and David Tran got one of the single toughest matches. It really is difficult to breakthrough when you're dealing with both Haddock and Lucera in the exact same place. But Arjan was able to walk away with a finish of 13th place. 20-point club was one of the couple of people that did finish with 20 points or more. And you could not ask for too much better when considering the death knell that the two of them were going up against, especially with David Tran, who had been on a miracle run in that quarterfinal. David Tran did finish with one first just to get the last laugh near the end at Bowser's Castle, which I guess is a classic for him now. The last quarterfinal was the most interesting quarterfinals. It seemed like Denny was having a very, very, very rough start. And the same was true for Mr. Ponytail. IMAF wasn't doing all that much better either. And everything was just kind of split all over the place. It was hard to sort of break through in a meaningful manner. DK Tsunami did have the last strong round, was able to finish in first place, so did about as well as he could ask for, as he would await a rematch against his brother, Wamaster, in the semifinals. IMAF, now his road was interesting too. The three players that were below DK, there was a constant battle between who was going to get that second place spot, which rounded out for a tie score of 21 points between all three of them. So there was a tiebreaker that had to be decided. And, well, as it would be, IMAF pulled through at the end. Was able to win the last remaining tiebreaker matches, both of them, both two of them. And was able to keep the hopes alive for a potential scriptwriter conspiracy, as all the original top four finalists were in the top 8. I am doing pretty good. Had a relaxing weekend after being incredibly busy the weekend before that. At this event, no less, which was PA Cardmate, which I'm talking about right now. And the tiebreaker was a big moment for those who were watching. A wholly unexpected twist, as it seemed like a whole lot of stuff had to go right. Coincidentally, all of which did go right. On Mario Raceway, no less, when everything was on the line. I figured as much, yeah. I kind of figured you were watching it, judging by the fact that you're here. So that was the quarterfinals, already really intense, and what was building up to be an incredibly significant timeline and a significant narrative within the entire tournament. As we got to the final 8, there were 2 semifinals. One of the semifinals was going to be a matchup between Wamaster, DK Tsunami, Lucera, and Pokemon, with the other one being held between Cheech Haddock and IMAF. Neither of which were easy. Neither of which were easy in any way you could possibly imagine. Already, as it would be, Pokemon and IMAF had outperformed their placements. Pokemon being the 9th seed going into the final bracket, and IMAF being the 13th seed going into the final bracket. The two of them had very good runs, placed well above their placements. Certainly should have been proud of themselves. However, Pokemon had decided that he was not quite done yet. His semifinal was certainly an interesting final. It could have been expected that Wamaster was going to crack apart in the semifinal, but instead was off to a commanding start and just never let up in a meaningful way for Lou or DK Tsunami or Pokemon to let through. And then it came down to who was going to take second place. And as the round went on, DK and Lucera struggled. And they just sort of fell to the wayside very gradually as Pokemon was able to well outperform his placement of 9th seed and make it into the finals with the second placement. 27 points compared to Wamaster's nearly 40-point round. A very good performance considering it was semifinals. And this, of course, left respective finishes of 6th place for Lucera and 7th place for DK Tsunami. And the defending champion from 2024 was knocked out of the bracket. And 2 of the previous top 4 finalists for 2023 and 2024 were out. The scriptwriter decided to go on strike. And the second quarterfinal left two of the other two finalists, leaving the question of if the other two would make it. And the answer was, well, yes, at least one of them would. In a very close match between Haddock and Cheech, as the two of them just sort of absorbed IMath and Yale and just went crazy. And there being a 1 point difference at the end of it all. A singular 1 point difference. I could be wrong, but it looks like Cheech got just 1 point ahead in the end. But I'd have to rewatch that match because apparently he said that he finished 1 point behind Haddock. I don't know which it is, but it was one of the two. Unfortunately for IMath and Yale, it was the end of the road. IMath finishing in an admirable 8th place, and Yale finishing in a very admirable 5th place finish. Just short, but considering the performances that were coming from the Final Four, I guess you couldn't expect too much better. And then we got to the final matchup. What a finals matchup it was. A crazy finals, one might put it. One of the best matchups for finals in terms of the narrative and the story that was going around. Haddock looking to pick up a second win potentially. Pokemon, the upset kid, the guy who was playing massive upsets in every single round that he was playing. And of course, both Cheech and Wildmaster new to the finals, looking to get their first win. Their first win of any kind. A big win, to say the least, in one of the largest Mario Kart 64 tournaments out there. And Cheech was already off to a very strong start throughout the entire set, just slowly building up a big lead as Pokemon and Haddock were not able to get too much after the first cup. Nothing that was too meaningful as Haddock was the first to go, packed away in 4th place. And this gave a very slight glimmer of hope for Pokemon, who eventually also gradually receded into the back of the line with a podium finish of 3rd place. Certainly nothing to scoff at, although I'm sure he wanted to win like everybody else there did. And it seemed like it was going to be too much of a lead for Wildmaster to be able to recover from, as Cheech was looking like he was going to win. But it seemed like there was some magic in the air as the internet went out. The hotspot went dark, and Brody was forced to go mobile for the very last remaining cup. The last 5 courses, where the differential was, I believe, 6 points. Not bad, but against somebody who was doing as strong in the round as Cheech, it was also not a guarantee. And as the round gradually went on, Wildmaster got closer and closer. There was an incredibly close call where he was almost out of it on Choco Mountain, but was able to pick up that point that he needed at the end of Choco Mountain. And that left 3 points that he had to gather at the end of Mario Raceway. Cheech had to finish in dead last, and Pokemon and Haddock had to outdo him, but not Wildmaster. Now, you would think that the previous tie was already crazy. What if I told you it happened twice? As Wildmaster did the unthinkable, finished in 1st place, with Haddock and Pokemon both getting the better of Cheech. And this meant that we were in for a tiebreaker in the finals round of PA Kart Meet, the biggest bracket ever held for Mario Kart 64, and there was magic in the air. As everything was falling into place for a barn burner going into the very end. And as it would be, seemingly just because he was destined to eventually break through all adversity that was in his way, Wildmaster won every single match that he played in the tiebreaker and would go on to become the PA Kart Meet 2025 Mario Kart 64 champion for 4-player versus, and what has got to be considered one of the biggest comeback runs that we had ever seen in finals, save for the run that Venom Monterrey had in SKI 2023. Those two are going to be remembered as big, big comebacks. And you could also lump the same for Dan against Kyle, Andy Hine, and I can't remember the last person who was in the finals for PACE Spring 2024. All in all, it was a big showing for both Wildmaster and Cheech, who had been well-known quantities. The two had been respectively building up in their own ways and were considered to be big favorites. And the two of them certainly cemented their status as high caliber players. And they are two players that also look like they could be the future of multiplayer running in person, specifically on console. I need to put console out there because playing on Chimera, on emulator, on NSO is a very slightly different experience. And you don't get all those players just out to play console. If they did it more often, the story would be different. But console is where Wildmaster and Cheech were showing the strongest of the strongest in those very moments. And you can certainly expect to see more from the two of them, as they are very likely to be making their way over to the state of Wisconsin for Wisco Kart Meet 2025, which ended up being, coincidentally, a perfect transition marker to go into the next conversational topic, which just so happens to be Wisco Kart Meet 2025, happening yet again this year. All in all, having to follow up the likes of a tournament as magical as Wisco Kart Meet is daunting, but it's something that I am looking to do because it is absolutely necessary to keep the hype going, to keep the excitement for in-person kart 64 going, and just combined kart in general. Last year, my first Wisco Kart Meet was not very well attended. It was a last-minute surprise. I made the announcement in May, expecting more people to show up, but getting that expectation very, very wrong. There were still close to 10 people in attendance. It was a humble start, and I am looking to beat those numbers by a long shot, by a big margin. And this year is anticipated to be, yes, just that year. Now, and with all of that being said, there is anticipation that, it's very likely the same top two from PA Kart Meet will also be at Wisco Kart Meet. Actually, you could say that 3 of the Final 4 will be there. Haddock has already confirmed he'll be there. We're going to have attendance from folks like Uno. Uno's going to show up as well. A big trust, leap of faith from Uno to support the state of Wisconsin for this meet. Previous attendee for Summer Kart Invitational has also showed up at PACE in the past. We're expected to have attendance from the likes of Psychedelic Joey. He's anticipated to be there, and there just might be a carpool from the Ohio gang. And if you ever wanted to see the man, the myth, the legend, there goes the championships, then you can expect to see another old school classic. Jimbo will also be in attendance there too. So quite a bit of the old guard and some new people that will also be there as well. And I cannot understate the importance of just the significance of it all. As we go into the future, there need to be some main staples of the in-person kart scene. Brody has already cemented his status with PA Kart Meet, and I am looking to be the other guy with Wisco Kart Meet this year and going on forward. I would like that to be the case, to provide people with more opportunities for memorable events that will be very meaningful to in-person Mario Kart 64 4-player versus. Kart meets are a thing that I think have an opportunity to grow into something way bigger, which is why I've taken another leap of faith and I added a second bracket for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That could eventually morph into the new game Mario Kart 9. It's very possible that the new Mario Kart game will end up overriding Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but whatever one comes first, it will be a tournament bracket. There will be a tournament bracket for that. As it stands, we've got a fantastic tournament organizer who is going to be backing me up with these other brackets. Danny Fathom, who has done big brackets in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for MomoCon 2024 and Riptide 2024, which had nearly 100 people in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bracket, is going to be TOing for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at Wisco Kart Meet 2025. This is a big deal. He is the type of guy that's going to be bringing in a whole new crowd of people. And it brings me to one of the biggest things that I just want to mention. At Brody kind of already mastered without having to hold the second bracket is bringing all the other Mario Kart communities into these sorts of things. I believe it's not just bringing the communities in, but giving the opportunity for those competitive brackets to be available. If you have another Mario Kart game you play, whether it be an old one or a new one, that's been the vision in mind. It's a gradual build. It's something that did not start out easy. Both Brody and I had to start in a humble place. He had a slightly better pull than I did, but it still took a lot of faith from people that didn't necessarily know him perfectly, and a whole lot of building of connections, and it's been the same story for myself. It is incredibly important that these in-person kart tournaments grow and get bigger, and so that more people know. I believe that these tournaments deserve so much more. They deserve so much more in the future. I have held this idea in my head of like playing for years and years in the competitive Smash scene, tournaments that get really, really big and whose folks that watch have gotten some of the most interesting and meaningful like tournament narratives and have had their most meaningful experiences for their respective games that I want for the Mario Kart folks. I think it's very important that we are just building up, and I think one leap of faith is adding that extra Mario Kart game, because when you mix folks from the new Mario Kart game with folks from the old Mario Kart game, it gives a chance for both communities to have cross growth. The folks from Mario Kart 8 are probably going to be transferring over to Mario Kart 9 in the future, and there's going to be a whole lot of us that are probably going to be playing that game. So I wouldn't be too surprised if that were, the case. And the way that I see it is that if we keep on putting our ambitions higher and higher and higher, we're getting to the point where we could eventually have a kart championship of some sort, where you don't just have events for Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You could cover a good portion of the Mario Kart series that's not like confined to handhelds. There could be championships that were held for the likes of SMK. You could have one for Mario Kart 64. Double Dash has the potential for it. It was showcased at Smash and Splash back in 2019. There could be one for MKWii. There could be one for like Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart 9. The possibilities are endless if we put the time into it. The time, the planning, the care, the dedication. And that's what that's the way that I see it. There is an immense opportunity for growth. Brody has already demonstrated that, but as we start to collaborate more and more, as more of us within each of our communities collaborate, this gives an opportunity for the Mario Kart community to pop out of the underground in a big, big way. In a way that I've been looking for years. Because our community deserves more than just having a couple of hot shots participating in online tournaments every once in a blue moon, only for the top-notch players to just disappear back in the woodwork to whatever communities they go to, and they can do whatever they want. But I also think it would be cool to see those same top-notch players in their craft in person, under the pressure, under the limelight, where they deserve to be. At least that's how I personally feel. Wouldn't you want to see the best players in Mario Kart 64 wrangling it out with a crowd of dozens and potentially hundreds behind them? Because that's something I want to see. That's something I've always wanted to see. The excitement was already there for the likes of games like Melee and a billion other games that have already had like the support, but Mario Kart 64 deserves so much more. It deserves so much more that I am willing to put the big risks out for. If it doesn't work out, it's fine. I want it to be the one that took that leap of faith, because somebody has to. Brody already did. I want to make sure that there is a secure scene for in-person 4-player versus, because console 4-player versus is something that should not disappear. It almost did when VA collapsed. I don't want that to be a possibility. I want to make sure that not just the East Coast is covered, but the Midwest is covered, and we could get all the United States covered with even a West Coast meet. If we could get all 3 of those major regions covered with some major kart meet of some sort, the future looks bright. there's so much more that we could do together. And I mean, I just look at people like those who run the American SMK championships as like a possibility for a supercard convention. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a supercard convention where you have people as far back as SMK in the same venue as those competing in Mario Kart 9? Because that would be so dope. That would be so amazing. Smash already has that with Supernova, which melds every single Smash game together into a singular tournament series, one of the most special tournament series. Wouldn't we want that for Mario Kart as a series? That's something I pitch all the time. I know some people are receptive and listen, but I am looking to keep on saying that. I will not shut my mouth about it because I think it has potential to happen, and we just need to be able to meet that vision, take risks, and really go like steps and steps beyond into the future. And the future of kart meets is looking good as long as we keep on taking big risks. And you're going to see it from Brody and I. I hope other people are willing to join. If you're like in the West Coast or you're in another part of the United States and you want people to play Mario Kart 64 in person, go for it. There's a venue probably available nearby. There's probably places that would be willing to hold your event for free. There are great places to start, and I would highly encourage you to be part of this wave, because this wave has capability to go well beyond my influence. I'm going to leave y'all with that on this second topic. I wish I could say more, but I would eventually just end up regurgitating the same old set of facts. So, like I said before, so much to look forward to. Wisco Kart Meet is in 4.5 months. If you can go, I highly encourage you to go. There's a link for that bad boy. I'll just type it down real quickly. Wisco Kart Meet has an event server. So if you're interested and you want more information about the event for Wisco Kart Meet 2025, that's the place to go. That's the Discord server. We highly encourage you to join if you want to keep up with what's going to happen for the schedule, if you want to go in person, and just anything more. Hanging out with the folks that are there, that are in chat or in the server, or even in person. Wisco Kart Crew is very friendly. We're looking for more people. We're gonna be having some people that are gonna be tangoing it out in Beyblade, no less, as Austin mentioned. I mean, there's gonna be so many cool things that are gonna be happening this August. I highly encourage y'all to attend. And while we're mentioning the future of things, I would like to head onwards to the next topic of the podcast. As you all might know, the Wisco Kart Crew is also going to another event, which is coming up in April. It's about, let's say about 3-4 weeks from now. Probably a little under 4 weeks. That would be, of course, taking place April 11th through the 13th. That's Midwest Speedfest 2025. Midwest Speedfest. And, well, what do you know? Wisco Kart Crew had 4 people that came together to submit a submission, a relay for Grand Prix, all cups, no skips on Mario Kart 64. And myself, Mr. Ponytail Wallmaster, and Haddock were able to make it. We have a run that's going to be included in that marathon. It was so unexpected and simultaneously very thrilling to see our crew get represented in a big way. This is really, really, really good, as we're going to be a part of a big regional speedrun marathon. Midwest Speedfest is very exciting. Many a talented speedrunner that's going to be featured there. So I'm going to just very, very quickly pull up the schedule, but I'm also going to mention the other event that I am involved in. I have another speedrun that was accepted. I got 2 speedruns, which is nuts. Absolutely crazy. You don't take it for granted when you get even just 1, but 2 is like the seal of approval, a big strong indicator of faith on the likes of the Midwest Speedfest staff, to think that they were willing to take not just 1 run that I submitted for, but 2. Like, it's crazy. And the other one that they picked is So much fun. Oh my lordy lord, did they select the likes of Wild Animal Racing? You got that right. Yeah, they chose my Wild Animal Racing run for for Midwest Speedfest 2025, which could not make me more exceedingly excited because Wild Animal Racing is a jam. A fine, charming game. I love it. I love it with all my heart. And I get to show it off at Midwest Speedfest, which is so great. We got a fantastic schedule that's coming up for Midwest Speedfest. Some very quirky runs from extremely talented players, and some pretty well-known games as well. One of the other people that will have two runs aside from myself, Mr. Ponytail's got a bonus run of DKR in there as well at the end of day one. We're really gunning as hard as possible to make sure it does get run. That is the big overarching goal. We want to see Mr. Ponytail run that game. You better bet we want to. He'll be there from the Wisco Kart crew with two other runs. Outside of the Wisco Kart crew, there are a few other people who did get two runs accepted. The other one, of course, being Yoshi Pro, who's opening up not only day one with Gex Enter the Gecko, but is also going to be running Psychonauts on day two. Yoshi Pro, very talented runner, has a lot of good runs under their belt. Certainly, definitely going to have to look forward to that, to say the very least. And the day one schedule, after Gex Enter the Gecko, there's quite a few different games of varying well-known status. Turtle Run is going to follow things up with an 80% run on Moth Planet after Gex Enter the Gecko is done. And in the theme of fantasy, Monster Sanctuary, the glitchless run, is going to be under the helm by Oro for the next 2.5 hours. You can expect that much. And we're back to a bit of a shorter run as Waffle Soup will be showcasing a new game, glitchless category of Time Spinner. So that will be very, very, very interesting. Yes, I did indeed say Gex, and this is not the Game Boy Gex. This is the OG PlayStation Gex. So it's gonna be a jam at 9:30 in the morning on a Friday. So if you're up that early, definitely check out Gex that morning. Going a little bit later into the afternoon, around 2 o'clock, Lonely will be doing a run of Castlevania, Order of Ecclesia, 3DO Gex. Yeah, that'd be funny. But yeah, we got a Castlevania run because Castlevania seems to be a very classic speedrun that's featured in speedrun marathons. Lonely will be running Order of Ecclesia, glitchless category under Shinoa. That'll be about an hour long. Followed by Princess Shortcake, who will be running Melatonin. You can see Princess Shortcake not just once, but twice, as she will be alongside Mel with Plasmophobia later in the marathon. Melatonin is going to be an all levels run on PC. And then probably one of the wildest speedruns that's going to be featured is going to be Crowd versus CPU category of Jeopardy! Platinum Edition, which is a Game Boy game. And everything is very 90s, very early 80s and 70s as far as questions go. And so Gooby and Flying Marlin are going to leave it up to the crowd to answer almost all the questions that are in the speedrun of Jeopardy! Platinum Edition. It's gonna be a time. I highly encourage people to check that out. It's gonna be at 4:30 in the afternoon. If you ever wanted to see one of the strangest speedruns, then this Jeopardy! Speedrun is gonna be the one to check out, undoubtedly. And then there's Dr. Mario and Puzzle League. A speedrun of that is being performed by Cassasaur. For those of you who remember, Cass did a run of Bluey last year, which resulted in a whole lot of memes. Like, hooray, that meme was in there a lot of times throughout the whole speedrun marathon after Cass had run it at the beginning of Saturday, shortly before I did my speedrun of Frogger 2 for the Game Boy Color that year. So yeah, Cass, experienced speedrunner. Glad to have them back with Mario and Puzzle League. And then another big timer. We got Snowball with Sonic Mania doing a speedrun category of New Game Plus with the character Amy. No major glitches. It's going to be a fast, high-octane, very classic sort of Sonic-ish, like a Sonic 2D speedrunner, platform speedrunner. It's going to be in your face, and what's got to be a classic for the Midwest in general as a whole is Chibi Robo. Minnesota and the Midwest in general seem to be very, very obsessed with Chibi Robo. Cobasco is going to be running that one, and if you think that Chibi Robo is just one person, Jaxler did a bingo race with Cobasco at SGDQ 2024. Chibi Robo, I mean, there's justifiable reasons for the obsession, especially because it's one of those speedruns where one of the objectives is divorce. It's become such a meme where people would yell that in the crowd during the bingo run whenever the first person was going to pick that up for their bingo tile. Divorce being a genuine objective in Chibi Robo. It's kind of nuts to think that that's something you can do in any sort of video game, so if you like that sort of zaniness, you're going to want to check out that run. She'll be a little bit later at night, but it does lead into a Nintendo 64 block, with Alta Biscuit starting things off with Donkey Kong 64 randomizer. It is very much what you would expect. Alta is a strong speedrunner with a history in a variety of different games. Definitely check out that run. And as if the Nintendo 64 block was not enough, we are really, really hoping they'll pull through with this, but Mr. Ponytail's got an any percent run of DKR in at the very end of day one. We want to make sure that the folks will include that run. We really do. We are going to be gunning so hard to make sure that that's a reality. You'll want to check it out. It's one of the first of the Wisco Kart 64 crew that is going to be running in that marathon. So definitely support your man, Mr. Ponytail. Supposedly Gooby goes to bed, but I'm not sure if that's actually the case. I'm not even sure Gooby knows what sleep is. Count Gooby might sleep. He might not sleep. I've yet to jump to conclusions about this sort of thing. Yoshi Pro is back leading the second day with Psychonauts. If you guys like Psychonauts, then this will definitely be, you will want to tune in at the top of the morning at 9:30 Saturday. Yoshi Pro will lead off with Psychonauts any percent, and then my man Jaxler, my fellow Frogger speedrunner, does have a run, not Frogger related, but it is Mushroom Men, The Spore Wars. It's going to be a Wii speedrun. Jaxler, very skilled, incredibly talented, obscure speedrunner. I'd say more talented than me, honestly. I'm excited to see Jax again. He's cool. We had some great conversations. I'm going to be looking forward to talking to him yet again. And then we roll right into the goofy block, the silly block. There's a bunch of crazy games for this one. This block is going to be very, very funny, and leave it to add onto 9 to lead things off with Uncanny Cat Golf. There's a burst option, and we're going to get to see a whole lot of that. You're going to want to watch that. I won't get the chance for reasons I'll explain later, but if that was not enough for you, then you're going to get a whole lot out of Helix's run of Emergency Call Ambulance for the PC, for the arcade, Sega Arcade specifically. It's an any percent category. Imagine people moving a gurney at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and that's what that game is. And if you thought that was moving too fast, then my run of Wild Animal Racing will be moving at the speed of slow. It's wild, it's animal, and it's racing. And I'm so glad it's in the marathon. I'm so happy. It's such a perfect follow-up to Helix's run of Emergency Call Ambulance, so you're going to want to tune in for both of those just to get a bit of a whiplash effect. They're both goofy. They're both a great time. And, of course, if the goofiness was not over, It will be after Wits End runs Croc 2 for the Game Boy Color, a game that is immensely broken, just like the original Croc was. And the same could be said aboard The Curse of Monkey Island, which is being run by Hobtor, which is category of any percent Mega Monkey. And, well, things get kind of back to normal after that, as we got another classic Midwest Speedfest runner. Wojo will be running Slap City. If you guys like Slap City, you will want to be tuning in during the early afternoon. I'll be around 2:30. And then we're going to get a serious jam from SSK, who's going to be running the Great Maze RTA run of Project Plus, which I hope nobody from Nintendo is in chat right now, otherwise I might be banned. I might disappear from the universe. Okay, the first fact is not true, but the second one might be. Nintendo will delete you if they find out you're talking about that game. You can't talk about that game, you can't talk about that game at all. I don't see anybody around. I think we're safe. I think we're good. So now let's talk about a run that is Nintendo approved. We're getting Shasta with one of the speedruns that I am most looking forward to. It's the ROTK speedrun of Kirby Superstar Ultra. Mr. Shasta is so cool. We are so lucky to have a highly skilled speedrunner and commentator of Shasta's caliber. It does not often happen like that. I mean, everybody here is great. But Shasta has got immense experience in several GDQs. I am so looking forward to finally getting to see him in person, because I have watched him speedrun for years and has been an influence that has kept me on the path, continuing to speedrun when I thought I was going to be done several times over. I'm so looking forward to that. You got to check that out. That's going to be great. And then if you like Legend of Zelda, well, you're going to get at least 2 doses of it. The first one, of course, coming from Phantom with Twilight Princess, all mirror shards. That's going to be an interesting little category. It's going to be run on the GameCube, as opposed to the Nintendo Wii version of the game. Not the first time that a major Zelda release was split between 2 consoles. That was the first time it happened. The second time would be Breath of the Wild, which was split between Wii U and Nintendo Switch. It's going to be a good time. Now, the excitement really ramps up going later into the night, as Melba Mel and Princess Shortcake will be doing a co-op, small maps, any percent run of Plasmophobia. I know a lot of people love Plasmophobia, so you're definitely going to want to view in for that. Plasmophobia did get featured in the very first Midwest Speedfest, and the same is true for this next game. A game that a lot of people seem to be very hyped for, and unsurprisingly so. Mario Kart 64, it's going to be a Grand Prix relay. 150cc, all cups, no skips. I'm a part of that relay leading off, followed by Mr. Ponytail, Wahmaster, and Haddock. This is the first speedrun marathon for Wahmaster and Haddock that they're running in. And for Mr. Ponytail, this is a regular Tuesday. Maybe not necessarily. I don't think he would have expected that the guarantee would be Mario Kart 64 and not DKR. But this relay is going to be really, really good. It's going to be a really fun time being involved in that one. So definitely tune in on Saturday, April 12th, for the Wisco Car crew, specifically at I think it's going to be at 8:30, around 8:20 to 8:30. Our crew will be doing the relay for Mario Kart 64, so that will be fantastic. You're gonna love it. And if the fun wasn't over yet, then it certainly will be sent off after the likes of Zero Counts and TTS for Life are done with their respective runs for Saturday night. Zero Counts is going to be putting in a high-octane speedrun of Mario Brothers 2, the US version, mind you, not the JPN version. I know that gets very confusing sometimes. I just need to make that clear. And if that wasn't already fun, then Heart Gold version to end Saturday night is going to be an epic way to close out the second day. A Manipulus run from TTS, who is incredibly skilled at DS Pokemon speedruns. So you're gonna want to be there. it's going to be a great way to send off Saturday. Saturday is stacked, and the same is true for Friday, and the same is true for Sunday. Our Whistle crew is done running runs after our Mario Kart speed run, but you definitely want to see the rest of what's coming up for the third day of Midwest Speed Fest as well. Bit of a shortened day, but that doesn't mean it's any less special than the others. Things will get kicked off by WED SR with Spyro 3.5, Return to the Forgotten Realms, which is a PlayStation game. And then Tammy is going to follow things up with Rolled Out. If you know anything about Super Monkey Ball, a similar concept with Rolled Out, I'm pretty 100% sure. And then Quake's a classic. You know what Quake is. You know who Limey is. What a combination. What a power combination to follow up Rolled Out. Quake, an easy run. You got to be there for it. You wouldn't want to miss out. Quake is Quake. It's going to be a great time. Same can be said about Super Paper Mario. It's going to be a classic hit percent. Being run by Luna Eclipse. If you like Super Paper Mario, you're going to want to be tuning in at around noon on Sunday. It's going to be a great time. And then, what better send-off than to finish things up with Breath of the Wild, followed directly by Tears of the Kingdom. Both being run by Cloud. One of them is a bonus run, but just like DKR, I would highly encourage people to make sure that all of the runs make it into this lineup. I really do. I could not stress more the opportunity to get as many speed runs in there. We want to make sure that Midwest Speed Fest is one of those events where everybody gets their opportunity to shine who is already on the schedule to begin with, and that includes potential backup runners, bonus runners, you name it, the whole 9 yards. Again, I'm going to encourage everybody to be a part of that, whether it be in the audience, whether it be as a runner, whether it be as a spectator, or making donations to the charity that has been chosen for Midwest Speed Fest. So, it's April 11th through April 13th this year, coming up in, let's see, slightly under 4 weeks? Slightly under 4 weeks. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that date is 1, 2, 3. So a little under 4 weeks from now. It's sneaking up real quickly, and it's going to be so much fun. Midwest Speed Fest is going to be such a great time, and what better than to have a whole crew of people I'm already friends with joining me along the journey. It's going to be great. There's so many good things to look forward to, and I need it. I really do need it. I will not explain why I need it, but, my life is going at 1,000,000 miles a minute, so I definitely need a weekend as fun as that. Thank you. Thank you very much. I do hope so as well. I am so excited for myself and a whole bunch of people. The fact that Josh is going to be able to get to go to his very first speedrun marathon, he's going to have an amazing time there. He's going to get to meet some fantastic people. He's going to get to showcase his true talent in front of people that just do not know or don't have, a gauge for how Mario Kart 64 works, so they're going to be wildly impressed, especially because he's going to put on maximum entertainment factor as, channeling his energy as Wario. Haddock's going to be being able to speedrun his first speedrun at a marathon. He's attended marathons in the past, but never been the runner, so that's going to be a great opportunity for him. I'm excited to return, and, for Mr. Ponytail, he gets another chance to truly shine, like he always has. I am very excited the more I think about it, because PA Kart Meet's got that sort of hangover, but it's going to be quickly absorbed as I get closer and closer to the marathon. And the fact that I get to play more Mario Kart before I decide to close the book on it for the year just makes it so worth the price of admission. It's going to be such a fun time and a great weekend in general. Yeah, that was a tough choice for both Josh and I. Actually, I was very lightly considering going to Midwest Gaming Classic. But I think I just need a week to relax and also save some money for all the other things I'm going to be doing in the future. So, yeah, that was a tough choice to make because I know I didn't make the last two, and it would have been an extra opportunity for myself, Josh, and Haddock to meet together, but not going to happen this time around, unfortunately. So, that's Midwest Speed Fest. I was so excited to discuss that, and frankly, as it would be, it was, so worth recapping. I had so much to say, but I kind of had to hold back on it because I did not want to do the Glass podcast when I was still in Pittsburgh. I usually put these about 2 to 3 weeks apart, and the timing with this after this was going to be quite a bit better. And that leads us into another moderately exciting topic, at least for me. Maybe not so much for everybody else, but as always, the Academy Awards that took place, recognizing some of the best films that the Academy really, really liked the most. Bear in mind, it's what the Academy likes. But there are some good films in there. So we're going to talk about that. That was some serious weight that was thrown around. There was a bit of some contention leading up into the Academy Awards, especially considering the serious shitstorm that was being absorbed by Emilia Perez, a film that drew in a bunch of nominations, but hardly walked away with any of them, thankfully. We'll get to that, but I do need to start with one very, very big thing that made this year's Academy Awards so much better. Genuine, actually fun compared to previous years. And that all starts with the man, the myth, the legend, Conan O'Brien. Oh my gosh, what a difference it makes when somebody who is actually funny is up on stage. And that man killed it. Conan killed it in the opening monologue. He killed it up in all the follow-up monologues. The only catch-22 is that it was a very long ceremony. It exceeded 4 hours, but if we had to sacrifice Jimmy Kimmel for Conan O'Brien, it was a worthy sacrifice and a worthy amount of time that was extra amount of time that was taken up. Real knows real, and Conan certainly would be the type of person to invite Blink-182. I'm not surprised that was the case. Conan was around for quite some time. Actually, he was around when Blink-182 was getting their stride, as he started his show, I think a couple of years before the band started. Conan's a cool guy. Very, very cool. I am happy he was a part of this year's ceremony because it's been so boring in the past years, and this was great. This was a breath of fresh air. So many amazing jokes, especially the one about taking a jab at Drake. That killed me. That was such a funny joke. Gosh, and the dogpiling of Drake never finishes, and never ceases to be funny. It really doesn't. I was so pleased with the choice of the host this year. Made it so much better. Unfortunately, the ceremony ran very, very long. It was nearly 4 hours. And let's just say that one of the streaming platforms that was hosting it at the time actually ran out of time to host it. I believe it was... what is it? I can't even remember. Which streaming platform was it? I think Hulu ran out of time when they were hosting it. So people who were on Hulu they missed out on the last couple awards in Best Picture, which is kind of hilarious, but also kind of sad. It's a commentary on how long the show ran. People are like, 3.5 hours. Like, sure, okay, but then it ran way past the limit, and people could not watch the rest of it. That was just a bit of a blemish for the people who were on that alternative streaming platform. But, let's just say, it's fine. It's not the worst thing that happened. Um, One of the two awards that Emilia Perez got for the Academy Awards was for Zoe Saldana. And you could say in isolation, it's all right. There were better supporting performances out of that group of five. Certainly, a lot of people were pulling for Ariana Grande. Personally, I was very interested in seeing for supporting actress. Honestly, probably Monica Barbero, maybe. Honestly, I mean, probably more so. It was expected that Ariana Grande was going to take it, but Zoe Saldana pulled through. One of the few Emilia Perez wins that actually happened. The one that I can tolerate. The one that is not so tolerable was the music win for El Mal. Not that it's a great song, but also maybe just that the entire original song category was a bit of a crapshoot. I don't know how else to put it, but I guess it was less tolerable because the people who won for Best Original Song were kind of dragging out the speech in the most obnoxious way possible. That's all I gotta say about it. They were singing during the acceptance speech. You can talk. You can talk. Congrats on winning, but you can talk. You don't have to sing your way through the entire acceptance speech. It's kind of embarrassing, a little bit cringe. But after that was the end of Emilia Perez. What could have been some of the most controversial series of wins from a film that is kind of cringe did not end up happening. We did not get A Crash 2, Electric Boogaloo. Thank the heavens. That would have made the Academy Awards so intolerable. But no, it ended up being great. It ended up being so great because Emilia Perez got curb stomped. Not that the ideas in the film are bad in itself, it's just the execution was bad. The execution itself was just bad. That's all I got to say about that. We got a bunch of minor wins to celebrate. We already talked about Best Supporting Actress, but that was because I was mentioning, for the most part, Emilia Perez got skunked, for the most part. Aside from those two very oddball wins, but whatever. I guess that's to be expected. Some of the more minor wins, to be honest, I guess the first one I would immediately go into is Dune Part 2, which was the other film that was able to pick up multiple wins, I think. Dune Part 2 at least got 2 wins alongside Emilia Perez, and honestly, Dune should have had more wins. I'm not even going to front. The first one was fantastic. The second one was not too much different. It was also fantastic. I watched the first one on an airplane when I was going on a work trip. So worth it. I cannot believe that I missed out on watching it in theaters, but I still had a fantastic time watching it. Nonetheless, both parts of Dune were fantastic, and Denis Villeneuve deserved at least a nomination for Best Director. Did not get anything. Ugh. It's gross to think that he was left out and Jacques Audiard was put in. But what are you gonna do? You can't win them all, and I wish Dune won more. But it is what it is. With that all being said, the 2 wins that Dune Part 2 did get, which were in Best Sound and Best Visual Effects, both were very, very well deserved. And I wish they picked up more, but they did not. They had the potential chance for cinematography, which they did not walk away with, and the same being true for the likes of production design or any of the other ones. I guess they didn't get very many nominations. Disappointing, but it's not the worst outcome, especially because most of the wins were very, very acceptable. Actually, most of the wins weren't all that bad. They were very much the expected ones for the most part. And the ones that were very par for the course, I guess the ones that were very par for the course, let's just start with the obvious. Wicked getting Best Costume Design is, I guess, to be expected. I think the only one it had serious competition with was Nosferatu, but nothing else was going to touch it. Wicked was an expected win. It kind of goes without saying. The same was true of makeup and hairstyling. The Substance receiving it is not a big surprise. With the film as visceral as that, I think the only one that could even come close to it was probably going to be Wicked or Nosferatu, but really nothing was going to touch The Substance. And it was honestly expected The Substance was going to win more, but they got their singular win from Best Makeup and Hairstyling, which, hey, good for them. Good choice. Hey, cinematography was a toughie. I would have preferred Dune Part 2, but, The Brutalist was also a fine pick. Certainly not a bad pick by any means. And it's also one of the cases where a man by the name of Lol was chosen. No joke. His name is Lol Crowley. LOL is the way his name is spelled, which is incredible. Truly incredible. Welcome to and this guy was born in like the 90s or the 80s. You can't blame it on some person who decided to name their child. It has to be a regional name. It has to be a regional name. There would be no other reason. I still think it's kind of funny. It made me giggle a lot when I heard the name. The Oscar goes to Lol Crowley for The Brutalist. I'm like, okay, what a name. What a guy. Owns the name too. Put it up there and everything. Anora was going to be taking in a whole lot of wins, and while I will talk about the win that they got in film editing, I guess it's not too surprising. It was kind of close between them, The Brutalist, and Conclave. I guess there wasn't too much else to be said there. We'll have plenty to talk about with Anora. This is not the end of Anora. You're going to see a whole lot more of that. Dune Part 2 getting Best Sound, not too surprising. I guess the only one I can think of that could have possibly caused us a stir if it happened would be either a Complete Unknown or even The Wild Robot. That could have been a big surprise too. Again, I said Wicked production design, not much of a surprise. I already talked about Best Music. Cringe, but what are you going to do? Original score, there really wasn't any other choice aside from than The Brutalist, and unsurprisingly, they picked that up. Good for Daniel Blumberg. Very well-deserved win. A big one. There really wasn't any better choice for that particular category. The Brutalist picked up the second most amount of wins. Only got 3. Wasn't much, but it was certainly enough to break past the other three films I got 2 wins respectively. And we already been over them. Emilia Perez, Dune, Tartu, and Wicked. They all ran through their wins. Everybody kind of split the awards for the most part. Nobody really had a big amount of wins aside from The Brutalist and Anora. And we will certainly talk more about those films because they ended up winning out. They kind of got the better end of all this. There are some films that unfortunately did not walk away with anything. You wish you could have seen more recognition for the likes of Nickel Boys. That film certainly deserved a lot better. I also think that the likes of The Substance. Oh no, it got 1 win, but it deserved better. Same with Sing Sing, and I would say the same with The Apprentice. But that's the tough crowd you got with the Academy Awards. They make some strange picks every now and then. But this was not a strange pick. In fact, it was one of the most daring picks in the entire ceremony. Getting to Best Animated Feature Film. I am skipping past short action because, not too many know about the short live action films or animated short films. In the Shadow of the Cypress, I guess the winners are from Iran. They got their very brief chance in the sun before they had to get the hell out of Dodge, and then I Am Not a Robot. Unsurprising, those two were to be expected, but what was so deeply unexpected was Flow winning Best Animated Feature Film. Independent, underground animation, getting a big win, knocking out Pixar and Disney is unspeakable. In any other year, it would have been one of those two. But Flow managing to win was such a big deal for the independent studio that got it in. A massive win for Estonia. They should be very proud of themselves. Flow is really a big, crucial piece of independent animation representation. We rarely ever get the chance for independent creators to walk away with massive wins like that, and Flow 100% deserved it. If there was any other film that was even going to remotely compete with it, it would have been The Wild Robot, but they missed out on their opportunity, and Flow walked away with it. Another one that was big, well deserved was I'm Still Here for Best International Film. It could have been a total crapshoot if Emilia Perez took it, but thankfully, Brazil walked away with their first ever Oscar win. Such a big deal that I'm Still Here was able to make it happen, and very meaningful speech from Walter Saye. I'm Still Here, very, very beautiful choice for international film when I couldn't think of anybody that would have been better chosen for it. Obviously, Flow would have been an even crazier win. Oh, I just realized it was not Estonia, it was Latvia. Still a big deal for Latvia. I need to make that very clear. Documentary short and documentary feature, I don't have too much to say about. I really don't look into documentaries like that. But they were The Only Girl in the Orchestra for documentary short, and then No Other Land for documentary feature. Wish I had more to say, but the Academy kind of just has sleeper picks for documentaries in general, and it's fine. It's fine. I'm not gonna give myself in a twist because, again, the Academy Awards did a pretty good job for the most part, and the misses were just kind of like, well, they're to be expected, and you can't get too mad at them. So now we're getting into the Big Six, or the Big Seven, Big Eight, I don't know. We got the writers, and unsurprisingly, Conclave took it for best writing. Conclave could have taken a whole lot of these. They could have taken a whole lot of wins, and it's a film that's been kind of compared to as like Oscar Bates. Similar in that way to that of like Green Book, but I think it gets a little bit too much flack. It's not special, like too special, but there are some good things going on. If the writing is to be selected, it's not one that I'd get like too upset about. I think the only thing I could think of that would have been more deserving of the win would have been either Nickel Boys or Sing Sing, but can't win them all. And if Conclave picked up a singular win, I guess this would be the one to get it for. More importantly, original screenplay. It went to Anora. Sean Baker walked away with 4 Oscars that night. Big win for Sean Baker. Really making it into the film industry in a big way. And Anora was such a breakout moment, especially after all the chaos that was involving Emilia Perez, and Nora got the best out of it, the best possible outcome you could really think of, with some serious competition, no less. The Brutalist, The Real Pain, and The Substance all being in there for original screenplay. That's a tough crowd, and Sean Baker was able to break through. I already talked about Zoe Saldana in the supporting actress role. That's no problem. That's fine. I kind of ran on autopilot. Well, what a plot twist. Wouldn't it be funny if I said that Macaulay Culkin's brother Kieran would get an Oscar before Macaulay did? Because it did happen. Kieran Culkin picked up an Oscar for Best Supporting Role in A Real Pain. A performance a lot of people really liked. All that being said, I think it would have been cooler if Edward Norton or Jeremy Strong won, but Kieran Culkin is a good one, nonetheless. It was just a matter of if there was a better one, and I'm not even going to knock the Academy for choosing Kieran Culkin. Great performance. It was well done, and not too many complaints. We got the leading roles. They were very, very heavily looked upon because there was some very, very, very serious competition. There's a Beyblade called Drake. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's kind of funny. It is pretty very funny to think about. Leading role was one of the most highly sought after competitions this year, and it was anticipated that there were going to be 2 completely different winners from what were actually chosen, and I got to start first with actor in a leading role, because this whole time the narrative was Timothée Chalamet going to be finally the oldest, the youngest leading actor winner by like just a very small margin, I think. I don't even think so. Adrian Brody was still younger. If it's based off performance or the actual age that they win, it was thought that either Ray Fiennes or Timothy Chalamet was going to win, but to some people's surprise, it was Adrian Brody who finally took his second leading acting Oscar, which good performance. Unfortunately, Adrian Brody did break the record for the longest Academy Awards speech in modern history. A little over 5.5 minutes. Good performance. Bad acceptance speech. Dragged it out a little bit too much, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Adrian, but save some time for the others, please. We don't have all day. Unfortunate, but it could have been worse. And it was not the worst acceptance speech of the night. That one went to the singers, the people who were singing the entire time during the Amelia Perez. Yeah, those were the only two speeches where I was like, okay, that's enough. Let's get a move on, because there was still actress in the leading role, and if the actor race was tough enough, the leading actress race was even tougher. Hell on earth, honestly. I mean, you could say that any one of the 5 people deserved it. You would think that they would go with either Cynthia Erivo for A Wicked or Demi Moore. And honestly, if it were me, I just think the extreme physicality of Demi Moore and The Substance would have been my personal choice. Obviously, people were also polling for Fernanda Torres as well. But leave it to Mikey Madison pulling through with Anora. What a leading performance she had. Yeah, pretty good win too. That's a tough race, and Mikey pulling through is like the zeitgeist for the Academy Awards. A lot of love was given to Anora, which did walk away with the most Oscar wins that night with 5. I mean, that doesn't seem like much, but after the dust settled, I mean, it certainly could have been even less for them. So they got the perfect amount of the ice cream sundae out of all this. And yeah, Mikey Madison picking up one, I have no honest complaints. It's a good choice. It's a good choice. She was a very, very, very good performer. And Anora in general, they took the rest of the awards for the night. Sean Baker picking up another one for directing, and then would promptly follow it up with another one for Best Picture. Originally, it was thought that Amelia Perez might break through. Honestly, Best Picture certainly had a couple stronger films in there. For my personal 2 cents, it would have been very daring for them to either pick Nickel Boys or The Substance. A lot of people would have pulled for Dune Part 2 or The Brutalist. Anora breaking through, I guess, is not too surprising after all the drama that was surrounding Amelia Perez. And if you're going to pick any Best Picture winner, Anora is appropriate. It's not crazy. It's not bad. It's just very par for the course for a film that's good. So, Academy Awards went through. Not much of a hitch. There wasn't anybody being punched in the face. Nobody reading the wrong name. Nothing incredibly stupid being chosen. It was just a good award ceremony, and it's rare that happens. I would not be too surprised if chaos returned the following year, but no, I don't know. I had a pretty fun time with it. It's rare that the Academy Awards actually wind up being fun. Most of the time it's just kind of a chore to sit through, despite some good choices being made every now and then. But like, it's been in a general trend of the Academy Awards getting slightly better and better and better ever since that whole controversy where Chris Rock got socked in the face by Will Smith. What a terrible, terrible year. Things really came around after that, especially considering, big wins like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is still one of my personal favorite years for Oscar wins. Oppenheimer walking away with some big wins and finally some serious recognition from the Academy for Christopher Nolan, and now this year. Obviously, in some ways, I'm going to miss the chaos of the previous awards, but a genuine good award ceremony is certainly better than nothing. It's fun. It's. I'm happy to say that it was a very normal award ceremony. I can't remember the last time the Academy Awards were like that. watch things go back to chaos next year. But I'm just going to cross my fingers. Got my hopes up that maybe the Academy Awards is finally in a good stretch. But we'll find out. Only time will tell. We still got a whole nother film cycle to make it through next year. And more controversies, more crazy stuff. So, yeah, we all have that to look forward to in the future. But hey, at the very least, it gave me something very fun to talk about. I wish I had too much more to say, but we're getting closer to the end of the podcast. There are still a few topics left to go. One of them, of course, being music. I like listening to music. I didn't get the chance to listen to too much, but I guess there was some influence from Timothée Chalamet and A Complete Unknown, because I did listen to some Bob Dylan. As if somehow I was just lining things up. My favorite artist I listened to in 2024 was Bob Dylan. I listened to a whole lot of albums from him last year. I just had a lot of CDs that I bought of his because they're very cheap, and it's worth it, honestly, personally. The one I listened to this year is Time Out of Mind. I don't know how that one got missed out in previous years. I really don't know. It's a fantastic album. Right now, it leads as like my second favorite album I listened to this year. Just barely my second favorite album, because Techniques of Relief is right there in third place. It's not a very stacked year so far. There's only a few albums that are like near perfect or perfect for me. I will get there. We'll most definitely get there. But as of right now, originally Techniques of Relief was leading the race, but Susumu has since fallen into the bronze medal position. Time Out of Mind by Bob Dylan is fantastic. It's a great return to form from Bob Dylan in the year 1997. It's got some great songs like Standing in the Doorway, It's Not Dark Yet. I can't think of the other one. To Make You Feel My Love, which was covered by Billy Joel, actually. Great cover that he did, too. Both of those are fantastic. That entire album's great. There's really I can't think of any misses on there. Some things are not perfect, and the flow isn't always like all that, but hey, I had fun with it. I had a great time, and it's currently at my number 2 position. And that is because Illmatic by Nas is at the top. Illmatic by Nas has been endlessly in my rotation. It is so much fun. As a guy who listens to hip-hop every now, Illmatic's a treat. If you like that genre of music, it is everything you could possibly ask for from East Coast hip-hop, from like start to finish. It's not too long. Nas doesn't waste any time with the skits. The lyricism is top-notch. The storytelling is top-notch. Every single one of the songs on there is top-notch. The ebb and flow is perfect. It's got classic songs like The Genesis, and In New York State of Mind, Life's a Bitch, The World Is Yours. It's just stone cold classic after stone cold classic after stone cold classic, just from front to back. Represent, You Never Can Tell. Illmatic is going to be leading my albums list for a while, and I'm sure something will potentially usurp it, but it's going to take quite a bit of effort. It sets the bar high for my music list so far this year, and I'm going to be looking forward to see what challenges it, because it's going to take some effort. It's the first perfect album that I've listened to this year. I'm hoping for a few more, but we'll find out. It was an intimidating one to approach, but when I realized, what I was dealing with, the type of person, just sort of how short it is, it wasn't too bad. And now I'm playing it all the time. I've been playing it so much as of so far this year. It's been a great running soundtrack for me. I've had a lot of fun with that album. A few others that would be worth mentioning. Santana's very first album is in my top 10 right now. Much like Abraxas, it's fantastic. Not as good as Abraxas, but it is up there. It's a great debut album from Santana. Backing band does their job. They are just jamming it out. Soul Sacrifice is the strongest song off of that album. Highly encourage y'all to check that one out. Santana, very good, incredibly underrated. definitely check that one out. The new sound by Jordy Group has been growing on me. It's taken its time to grow and really sprout into something, and it's starting to occupy my brain more. I may have talked about it last podcast, but I think it's going to continue to move higher and higher up the list because I cannot stop jamming to songs like Holy Holy, The Magician, Walk Up. It is a brave album with some of the craziest juxtaposition between the lyricism and the actual music itself. It's a worthwhile listen for those of y'all who are looking for some daring and just like left hooky sort of like rock music. It's worth it. They infused jazz and Latin music and experimental rock. It's got it all. It's a complete package, and I would encourage people to check it out. As of right now, leading the artist conversation this year right now, it's firmly in favor of Cocteau Twins, a band which is very impressive to me. I've listened to the rest of their discography, and I got a couple more fun albums in there. You know, between the likes of Victorialand, Milk and Kisses, and a few others. They've got good stuff going for them, and they are currently leading. Now, it's very possible that they may be overtaken later in the year, but right now they are kind of in the lead with a bit of some close contention from Susumu Hirasawa. But those are kind of the two for artists right now. For extended play, there's only two extended plays actually. One by Sarani Koji, which is at the top. Just barely lower is Super Roots 8 by Boredoms, which is a big, zany little remix of Leo Jungle Emperor. Those of you may recognize that is the English reference for Kimba the White Lion. There's a whole conspiracy and controversy around that, and it's kind of stupid. But hey, look, people compared Kimba the White Lion to the Lion King, which is just so far-fetched. But that's me. That's just kind of how I feel. There are a lot of good stuff that I am going to have to check out. My friend is recommending I listen to the Playboi Carti album, and I wasn't really into Dial It or Whole Lotta Red, but I'm always curious. Carti's kind of very subversive in his style. I'll be interested to see what he is like. I've had my friends and my cousins recommend me the new Dream Theater album. I'll get to it at some point or another. Definitely going to be making sure to check those out in the near future. Oh, Sum 41 with a new album? I didn't know that they were active. I kind of, like, it seemed like they had their moment in the sun in the 2000s. Good for them to be still keeping it up. It's cool to hear. I'm unfortunately a little bit less familiar with Aquabats. Wish I knew more about them. I have a lot of music on my slate to check out. Oh, they aren't? Aw. Rip. Well, that's too bad. There are a lot of good things that I'm going to have to check out musically speaking. I think Cardiac's a very experimental rock band. They've got a new album that is being completed after starting way back in 2008, after the passing of their lead member, Tim Smith. The rest of the band were inspired to complete the rest of the recording process, which actually started with the blessing of Tim Smith before he passed away. So there was a bunch of material that was completed but never assembled in studio, and the rest of the backing band were making sure his vision was pulled through in full, which is good for them because I could use some more Cardiac's music. They blew me away when they made the album Sing to God, an incredibly ambitious double album, which more people should listen to. It's great. And if you like rock, you're going to love Fiery Gun Hand. It's a jam. It's a fantastic rock song. I just have to be the first to say that. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to have to check out this year, and I'm going to have a hard time with it with how busy I'm going to be between, like, Wisco Cart Meet, just kind of keeping up with my job, and just a million other albums I still have on my waiting list on my iPods. It's going to be a fun challenge this year, especially after listening to under 70 albums last year. We're kind of on track, but I get the feeling we're not going to make it all the way. But, hey, a couple of new releases, had a few things that I could update, and looking forward to some more new stuff to listen to. plenty of good so far. I'm going to do a better job updating for next time around. But in the meantime, that was music. Let's just quickly wing it on around to speedrunning plans, because I'm going to be only going with this podcast for another, 10 minutes or so. Got some future speedrunning plans. Of course, as everybody knows, I'm running for Midwest Speedfest, so that's going to be taking first priority. I'll be working on Wild Animal Racing a lot, and I'll be working on Mario Kart 64 a lot. So those two are going to definitely be a thing. And then I kind of want to fill in a timesheet for Mario Kart Wii. Going to definitely trying to be working on that, and maybe a couple of other Mario Kart speedruns throughout the rest of March, because it is Mario Kart in the month of March. It's my themed streaming month. I've done some for that, but not much, especially with how many days I was gone in PA, in Pittsburgh. It was a busy month for me, and I'm looking to cool down just a little bit, and streaming is part of that, so we will be doing some Mario Kart for that. And then come April, going to be doing a lot of prep work for Midwest Speedfest, and when I'm not working on that, I am going to try to see what I can do with the likes of Star Wars for the Famicom. It's a zany little platformer that is, it's absurd. I don't know how else to put it. It is strange. It is so strange, but I want to complete a run of that. I definitely want to complete a run of that in the future. It's possible I might try to submit to Summer Games Done Quick this year, but I get the feeling I won't be able to do very much with that, so I'm probably only going to make like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday, but I highly doubt it. I think the most that I'd be able to make if I go to GDQ is going to be Friday, Saturday, and that's unfortunately it. And even then, I might just save some money so that I can put everything into, Wisco Kart Meet this year. Something I really look forward to, honestly. Again, like I said before, there's a big future in multiplayer versus in person for Mario Kart 64 and just the Mario Kart community in general. And so, as far as other speedruns go, I mean, if I do submit to GDQ or if I don't, I still want to put some work into Jackie Chan Adventures. Want to put some work into the Frogger games again, because it is Year of the Frog. Want some more Frogger world records to stack on top of. I've got big plans. We're not quite done speedrunning this year yet, and certainly one thing I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in April, in May, or in June, is I'd like to start learning for the any percent category of Kirby Superstar. It's something I've been eyeing up for a while. I just need to pick up a Super Famicom so I can play without stripping my SNES apart to be able to play it on that cart. There's a reason why I have to take the shell off the SNES, because the cart is too big or too wide for Super Famicom, so yeah, that's why. The streaming month for Metroid is coming up in May. That'll be something that I plan on moving forward with. I want to do a lot of runs and playthroughs associated with Metroid. Complete the playthrough for Metroid Prime. Looking to do that. Also looking to complete the playthrough for Frogger Ancient Shadow. I would like to get those two playthroughs concluded and done with. We'll see if I do. No promises. I've got some goals that I discussed at the beginning of the year, and it would be contributing to at least 2 or 3 of those goals. That way I can start also moving into Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, and then see if I can make it in time for the newest Metroid Prime game, Metroid Prime 4! Ooh. A playthrough that I should have done a very long time ago, but what I wanted to do on stream would be Metroid Dread. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time, but I've been putting it off for reasons. And then just doing Metroid Zero Mission speedruns, Return of Samus, Super Metroid. I am just in general looking forward to the Metroid speedrunning month and what I can do with the month that I allocate for myself. What else? I'm not going to go beyond May. I think, covering March, April, May is good enough for now. And then we will move on to the next month. We are reaching pretty much what is essentially the end of the podcast. I might think of some stuff on the spot, but frankly, I've kind of just ran through the bulk of my discussion topics. There really isn't too much left to say, but if anybody in the audience is interested in hanging out, in person, not in person, but like in voice chats on Discord, especially because of just that emotional hangover that's still looming over everybody who went to PA Card Meet or is looking forward to going to Wisco Card Meet. There's going to be a lot of VC sessions between myself, Josh, and a handful of other people in both PA Card Meet server and the Wisco Card Meet server. So plenty of talks to look forward to. I would highly encourage people to join in, have some conversations, have a good time. I don't know, if you have nothing going on, or if you need to get over a bad day, or you just need to rant to somebody, or just have a good conversation, you're going to want to join in the voice chats because it's the zeitgeist right now. It's what the community is feeling. Anybody's welcome to jump on in, friend. We don't need just carders. We'll take anybody. And then we can start discussing some things that are outside of card too. I mean, honestly, it's been a good vibe so far, and there is plenty more. And then you can get in conversation with myself and the tournament organizer for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So that way we can make sure that there is plenty of brief space for when you host the side event for the Beyblades. We will be very carefully making conversation as to make sure that everybody's events and just kind of what they want to do for Wisco Kart Weekend goes as smooth as possible. And there will be plenty of conversations. And then I have not made a formal choice for this next one, but the third episode of the Glass Podcast will be featuring a guest for that one. I'll make an announcement as to who that is later. Everybody will find out soon enough. I've been looking forward to doing these Glass Podcast episodes specifically to highlight other people. Talking about things that I'm interested in is great, but talking about things that I'm interested with other people that are like-minded like me is even better. I'm just going to be very perfectly honest because that's what I look forward to most. I am honestly looking forward to who decides who I showcase as the first guest. That's just what I got to say for now. I'm not going to reveal anything else at the time, but we are getting to the end of my period that I set for myself. It's the end of the Glass Podcast, Episode 2. Episode 3, let's look at the calendar and just see. Y'all can expect the next episode of the Glass Podcast to be... It's going to be in either a week or two. I don't think it's going to be next week because I'm going to need to rest after the Michigan Tech randomizer Pokemon race is done. Oh yeah, that's a miscellaneous topic. This Saturday, expect a randomizer race of Pokemon Emerald from myself and the other members left of the Michigan Tech speedrunning crew. It's going to be great. It's going to be 4 to 8 hours of Pokemon Emerald map randomizer. Y'all should check it out. It's pure chaos. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be very entertaining, win or lose. I think the next episode of the Glass Podcast is going to be March 30th. So, yeah, mark your calendars, y'all, for that. I don't know how much I'm going to have to talk about, which is why I want to bring in a guest for that one. So, that's it for me, folks. Thank you, everybody, for watching the second episode of the Glass Podcast. We're going to be coming out the third episode soon, and we'll hopefully build more and more of these up. I've got a couple more Twitch highlights that I have to run through and delete and or keep. We're getting to the point where I'm now all at just local footage that I have saved, but I still have to manage it nonetheless. So until next time, friends, y'all take care, and I wish you all a good rest of your night. Peace out, and yeah, that's it. Deuces.